here in the French capital. Luke Brown brings us the latest innovations, including drone technology being used in agriculture, and a report on the unique challenges facing farmers on the Lebanese border within earshot of the war in Syria.
Hello and welcome to France 24's special edition from the Paris Farm Show. One of the motors of agriculture's development has of course been innovation, as farmers have swapped horsepower for tractors. What next for the 21st century? Flying farmers? Take a look. No, it's not a video game or a UFO, but a chance to hone your drone skills. The €26,000 price tag may seem steep, but for this farmer from southwest France, this agricultural drone could mean long-term savings.
It'll allow us to get an overview of the land more quickly. The aerial view means we can better see things, how the crop is growing, if there's any disease, if there's enough fertilizer. So it could be potentially interesting for us.
The prototype of this drone was built 4 years ago in a barn. Now it's being marketed as one of the world's first drones to be equipped with specialised agricultural sensors. Likened to a smartphone with wings, it uses GPS and infrared to analyse the farmland and the crop's colour from above. And as it can give rapid overviews of large areas up to 50 kilometres squared at a time, the makers are also targeting the international market, including Africa.
There
isn't as much very precise satellite coverage in these areas as there is in Western Europe. What we're offering African countries is a made-to-measure satellite coverage, and one at a scale that is tailored for them.
The innovation isn't only in the air, it's also very much on terra firma. This grape harvesting machine costs €250,000 and is stuffed with sensors and cameras. The driver controls everything via a touchscreen and a joystick. French manufacturers insist increasingly automated equipment can be a boon for farmers.
Labor productivity, increased yield, comfort, those are the things the users are looking for. If it's also economically beneficial because they use less fuel, less fertilizer, or they increase their output, well, it's beneficial for everyone.
France is Europe's leading farming nation, meaning it needs to capitalise on the growing demand for high-tech workhorses. For now, only 12% of the EU's farming vehicles are made in France. Now, how do you farm in the shadow of civil war? Lebanon's Bekaa Valley is on the border with Syria. Many farmers can't reach their land for security reasons, but sales are up as production in Syria hits rock bottom. Salim El Madeb, Shireen Yazbek and Lucy Fielder report.
Al-Qa, in the far north of the Bekaa Plain, the last village before Syria. Asad al-Town owns 45 hectares of land, part of which straddles the Syrian border, but he has no chance of getting there now. Behind these mountains, the Syrian army has just launched an assault on the rebel region of Yabrud. The explosions can be heard miles away. Here, farmers have lost on average a third of their revenue, partly because of the insecurity, but also because they can no longer buy cheap supplies in Syria.
Because I live on the border, I used to benefit from the highly competitive prices of agricultural materials over there. They were really cheap, costing about half of what we pay here.
Away from the border, it's a different picture. On the whole, Lebanese farmers are profiting from the Syrian crisis. Georges Sakar grows potatoes, the Bekaa Valley's premier crop. In 2013, Syrian production fell to just a quarter of the year before, a vacuum soon filled by Lebanese growers.
With the events in Syria, Lebanon has started to export to Iraq, to the Gulf, to Jordan, and even to Syria because its production has collapsed.
The hills of Deir al-Ahmar, the centre of hashish production. This sector too has reaped gains from Syria's war. But in these fields, the vine has supplanted cannabis, thanks to an initiative supported by the French Department of l'Oise.
Even if the hashish trade is doing well because of the war in Syria and the instability here, we don't regret the conversion at all because grape sales yield high revenues.
Another consequence of the crisis, with the influx of refugees, the cost of labour has plummeted. But this year, the harvest nonetheless faces a grave threat. Winter was exceptionally dry. Snow barely dusted the mountains. The risk of drought is extremely high.
That's all for now. Coming up in the next edition, making dinner from produce only from in and around Paris, as well as a closer look at farming in Algeria. Until then, goodbye.
Now let's take a look at the latest news in the world